just occurred to me that if Russell Dilday and Phil Leinberg had been here, this would have turned into a roast, so maybe it's good.
Might be what it needs to turn into.
Well, not for me. I appreciate the opportunity to share the stories. I thought a lot about them, and they stick fairly close to my notes for that reason. We've been asked to be concise, so I'm going to follow the 5 B's of 4 people making remarks. Be brief, brother, be brief, and I'll get right to it. We do have an opportunity tonight to talk about a very special time in Baptist history and a very special person in our friend David Currie. My comments may be just a little bit of an overreach, but I make no apology for that. I think anything less would be inappropriate and in some ways inaccurate. I'm urging David to write his memoirs. One, because he needs to write his own story. And secondly, he may be the only one still with us who can give a detailed account of how we preserve freedom in Texas Baptist life, describing the roles of major players, the events of both public and private that kept Texas Baptist life from fundamentalism. Now, there are several in this room who could write a wonderful story, but David stood at the center of a significant chapter of our lives, and one that is pretty quickly fading from public memory, and that concerns me. David had a key role in preserving the Baptist ethos in Texas, and we're here tonight to finally say thank you to David for your service. What did David Currie do? I had people ask me for years and years and years, what does David Currie do? And I was going to answer that tonight in my own words. But in the interest of time, I'm going to use David's. I asked him to put something together recently, and here's the way David said it. 1, we clearly understood the nature of fundamentalism. They defined the rules as winner take all, no compromise. We had clear evidence of their agenda as they destroyed SBC senators. Therefore, as Winford Moore often said, count the votes, David, count the votes. 2, we made a wise decision to be a public organization, allowing lay people to find us and support us. Other states tried to fight the battle behind the scenes through pastors organizing only. This would not work. We also had a large group of laity, educated through 8 state Baptist universities, who loved their schools and did not want to lose academic freedom. Our mailing list grew from 2,000 in 1992 to over 25,000 in 2000, or later than that. Number 3, we gave these laypersons responsibility through the advisory board, and they responded. They organized when their pastors wouldn't. 4, we had a key pastor leadership that was willing to be publicly involved, and they held dinners and spoke at the meetings. Number 4, we had good strategic relationships in the Baptist building. David said it in another way, but I'm going to put it that way. We had very generous leading donors, and at times in some years 2,000 people who would give to Texas Baptist Committee. 7, we developed a good organization with 3 regions, 22 zones, and associational leaders. We studied past turnout, we set goals, sometimes 2 messengers were the goal. Number 8, our agenda was totally opposite of the fundamentalists. We sought influence in order to include everyone. Fundamentalists sought influence in order to exclude persons. Number 9, we left no lies unchallenged. And number 10, finally we had a director in me that loved what I did, didn't view it as a job, but a calling, and didn't care what anyone thought, and had no fear, and tons of energy. Yes, we did, David, thanks to you. That's what happened. And God bless you for that. I got a couple more remarks. How did David Currie accomplish so much? There are some people who might think that David had lightning in a bottle, but that sounds magical, and it was much more profound and powerful than that. The reason that David could do so much is that he worked with a huge amount of capital. And by that I mean trust capital. Almost all of us were there. As I look across this room, I think almost every one of us were there. And we can remember the high level of trust available when Baptist Committed and then eventually Texas Baptist Committed was launched. There was a tremendous level of trust in Winfred Moore, Jimmy Allen, Russell Dilday, Herb Reynolds, John Ball, Charles Wade, and a number of you in the beginning of Texas Baptist Committee. But David took the trust capital handed to him, and you didn't hide it under a bushel. God bless you for that. He built on that high level of trust, if I can find my place, by being a competent leader, showing us how to get organized, and he used his rancher's instinct to gain support across the wide range of Texas Baptist life. He built trust capital by working effectively with leaders in the Baptist building. Now, we didn't know everything that David did, but we trusted him and we were glad he did it, whatever it is that he did. And he built trust capital by connecting personally with thousands and thousands of people in Baptist churches. He started with clergy, high-profile lay leaders, institutional leaders, and he moved to build a vast army of Baptist laypersons who joined Texas Baptist Committee. He met them. He wrote them. He saw them at meetings and conventions. He called them by name. Just for comparison, we could say, and I'm going to speak in generalities, they admired Dr. Reynolds and other leaders, but they knew David as an organizational leader, and they trusted him. George W. Truett called those folks our plain Baptist people, and our plain Baptist people knew and trusted David Currie. David, I think that's how you accomplished so much in a nutshell. In fact, we all trusted David. And through his effective leadership and the friends he made for TBC, he earned and deserved that trust. I wanted to say a few words tonight about how David has carried the baton handed to him by a variety of people who influenced his life. But I'm going to leave David to put that in his memoirs. I want to briefly just talk about these. Now, David, when you do that, we know that you're going to mention your family. Every single last one of them, I'm sure, are going to be in that book. And we love them too. You're going to mention Dr. Reynolds, Mr. Ball, your glorious quartet of Foy Valentine, Jimmy Allen, James Dunn, and Phil Strickland. And I hope that you'll say a good bit about Nat Tracy, whom in my opinion is the least named influencer with the most impact on 2 generations of significant Baptist leaders who've come out of Howard Payne University, David being one of them. David, I want to say this. I think Dr. Tracy would be very pleased to see in your life the authenticity, the love, the unrelenting service, and let's just say grace and truth that comes from God. So David, as you open new chapters in your life, go with our blessing and that of many, many other people. We thank you for your faithful service and your leadership. And we thank God for the gift of David Currie.